Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Schuler Performing Arts Center, where we present Gathering of the Bands. At this time, we ask that you please silence all electronic devices. Thank you.
This is as quiet as you guys have been all day. So what happened to the kids that were here earlier? Good evening. My name is Terry Jones, and I am the director of the Wind Symphony here at North Idaho Colleges. And on behalf of the college, I'd like to welcome you here. I think you're in for a real treat. These students have been here a good half of the day working hard, preparing music to play for you tonight. And I'm going to start with some thank yous so I don't leave people out. And as I look out in the audience, I want to commend the parents for supporting and putting your children in music. I was the band director here 6 years ago, so I'm back after retirement. And one of the things I used to talk about a lot is how beneficial this can be. If you look at the top 20% of any graduating high school class in the country, 3/4 of those, so 15% of any class, the top 20% are music students. It's got to help somehow. The one that may be a little scary for some of you is if you look at the people who enrolled and are accepted into medical school, 35% of them are music majors. Yeah, I mean, you can take that two ways, just in case. All right, so anyhow, I want to thank the parents for doing this. I would also encourage you, we're really fortunate, and tonight's no different than it was last night. We've got 5 bands represented on stage with 5 teachers who work really hard so that your kids can have these wonderful opportunities. I'm encouraging you to be nice to them. Since my retirement, I have become the student teaching advisor for the music department at the University of Idaho and at WSU. Last year, the state of Idaho had 9 full-time teaching music positions that they couldn't find anybody to do. Be nice to your music teachers. We like them here. All right, so let's get started tonight. We're real fortunate that the gentleman who's going to conduct this group is also the gentleman who arranged and wrote all the pieces of music for these kids tonight, just for this event. So would you please welcome to the stage Mr. Tom Tucker.
I'm trying to remember what I was told about the microphone. I think I'm supposed to do this. 110 wonderful kids here, by the way, and parents, thank you so much for attending tonight and listening to them. For me, I'm the composer of this music, but you have to understand, when you're a composer, it's one thing to sit in an office or a studio and write music. It's a whole other thing to actually hear the music. And this is the very first time that I've actually heard Atlantis played, and boy, they did a great job, didn't they? Now, it's not just Tom Tucker up here. I did a rehearsal this afternoon. That's why my voice is kind of hoarse right now. It's the people who put this all together, the band directors in your local schools who did for several weeks have worked on this music. And I think I'd be remiss not to introduce them to you. So, gosh, with these lights, I'm not sure you'll see them, but oh well. From Coeur d'Alene Charter Academy, Michael Harrison. He's sitting right over there. From Sandpoint Middle School, Ryan Dickman. From River City School in Post Falls, Tyler Renninger. From Lakeland Middle School, Dion Goodman. And from Post Falls Middle School, Andrew Collier. I was a school teacher just like those guys for many, many years, and I'm retired now. I worked for the Department of Defense, and I taught in schools in Germany for over 30 years. And during that time, I was just one of those lucky people. I got to work with the Air Force Band in Ramstein. I got to play with the 3rd Infantry Division Band in Würzburg. I got to go to Naples and work with those people with the 6th Fleet Navy Band and so forth. And all those, so I got to really, really know the military community, even though I'd worked with civilians. And every one of those military, not just they're not kids, excuse me, these soldiers, these airmen, these naval people, they all possess this incredible discipline and this incredible patriotism. And I think there's probably a lot of veterans out here that know exactly what I'm thinking about, which is there's something very, very special about working in the armed forces of the United States of America. And tonight we're going to play a medley of service songs, and what we'd like to do is pay tribute to the selfless courage and sacrifice that our veterans here in our audience have made. So when we get to your song, please stand up and be recognized. It's going to be Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, and unfortunately, I never got the Space Force song, so I don't know. So there we go. So thank you so much. Please, when those songs, stand up. Okay. And for our next song, we're going to need your help. Actually, no, I have something else. I'm supposed to say thank you to a couple of people. Terry Jones, who you just met earlier, several weeks ago asked me to do this, and I was kind of reluctant at first. Oh my goodness, if I may, well, okay. And so I said, sure, but only if you'll play my music. Well, he kind of went, oh, give me a break. But that's the way it goes. So I have a huge ego, but man, I love hearing my stuff. I gotta be honest with you. So thank you so much, Terry. And I would be remiss if I didn't introduce one more person, James Schmel, who is hiding back here, who James is the Coeur d'Alene's percussion guy. He is a professional drummer and plays all the percussive instruments. And wow, what a difference. He took all these kids and he took them for an hour or so this afternoon. And so before I ever heard them, he had them all organized and playing all the right instruments and playing them correctly. Thank you, James. Now, for our last song, I'm going to need your help. We're going to divide this audience right here, right here. There's this side and this side. This side, you're just going to sit there for a little while. Don't worry about it. And I don't want you to be embarrassed, because there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm not asking you to dance, and I'm not asking you to sing, but I am asking you to snap your fingers. So, but you've got to snap on 2 and 4. If you snap on 1 and 3, evil things will happen to you. So, we're going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And then after we play about 16 measures or so, I'm going to turn and I'm going to face this side of the audience and ask you to do the same thing, so it gets louder. Snap. Hey, this is not bad. Don't speed up now. Come on, watch your tempo. Okay, and last, if you're in the mood, only if you're in the mood, you may, the last group of things, you may clap. But not like a penguin. You should. And if you feel really, really ambitious, you can do it above your head. But I don't think we should allow any dancing because, well, you just don't do that here. Oh, and by the way, my mind just keeps jumping around. This is the most fantastic auditorium I've ever played in my life. This college and this auditorium, what a jewel for the city of Coeur d'Alene. This is amazing. And Terry will introduce that we always feel the same way about the stage crew. These guys are really great too. So, are you guys ready? You think they're going to be able to do it? Yep. Okay. Oh, and one last thing. If you hear the word, then you're done. Thank you.
And now, please welcome to the stage the NIC Wind Symphony under the direction of Terry Jones.
And this is what happens when they get big. Thank you. Good job, middle schoolers. Nice job tonight. Thank you very much. So that first piece was a tune that John Williams wrote for the 100th year celebration of the Statue of Liberty. Really nice piece. This next piece is probably unlike anything you've ever heard. It's a piece that is supposed to give you the idea that you are one of the soldiers who landed at Normandy during the Second World War. It is extremely intensive, so especially, and you'll see it in a second as the house lights come up, we have trumpet players and percussion around the bottom of the auditorium. The piece starts out pretty soft with some wave sound and then builds from there. It reminds me of the first half an hour of Private Ryan, if you ever watched that film. War is pretty chaotic, and especially that particular landing if you know much about history. We're doing this piece in recognition of all those of you who are veterans who make it possible for us to have nights like tonight. So this is Lonely Beach. Offstage percussion. Thank you, guys. Offstage trumpets. Yeah, so I'm sorry. Who's got the phone that continues to go off down here? Well, somebody, I mean, we've heard it like 4 times. I just want you to turn it off, please. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, a little annoying, but it wasn't even in the right key. Is that your phone? Funny how it went away when you just touched your pocket. So, come on, guys, thank you. All right. Interesting piece, isn't it? Probably you've never heard one like that. I think that's just a wonderful rendition. It gives us an idea. So the next piece, there's a little story that precedes the next piece. I graduated from Montana State University, my first teaching job. This was in 77 to 78. I taught in a school system that part of the students at that school system were from a place where they were refugees from Laos right after the Vietnam War ended. The Vietnam War ended roughly in 76, 77. This was that next year. So these people were from Laos that came over here. One of the generals on the American side bought up a bunch of property, brought these people over here. They were really wonderful. All of the adults either went to vocational school or worked. All the kids went to school. I had one little girl in kindergarten whose fingers couldn't have been more than a couple of inches. But she was, as far as they were concerned, they weren't going to be a burden. Everybody was going to go to school and they were going to be contributors. Well, at the time, the elementary school that I taught music in had classrooms on the outside and a big kind of room in the middle. Oh, come on, guys. We have to keep going through this? Is it your phone? Okay. Anyhow, so I had classrooms and the government. Oh, come on. How many times do we have to go through this? Anyhow, so the government gave us some money to familiarize these people with the American culture, and I was teaching music, and I probably shouldn't have been teaching elementary music because I really needed to play guitar or play piano, and I played neither. So I used a stereo. And one of the groups that I worked with were 3rd graders, and there were 6 or 7 of them. And I just remember they were all boys at the time. I decided to do a piece of music, and I can't remember what the name of it is. It's a piece about war and how they float down the Mississippi and they use a crocodile for a cannon, and it's kind of funny. So I decided we were going to learn how to sing this piece, and so we get the piece up, and what I didn't realize is all those little boys were from rural Laos, and so there were a lot of things about our culture they didn't understand, one of them being recordings. So I get, again, can't play piano, can't play guitar, so I'm going to use a record player to play this song, and we're going to sing this song. And so I put the record player on, and right away, since it was about a war, so on the record player there were some gunshots and some things like that go off. Within a split second of hearing the first gunshot, all of those boys hit the floor and were running by the time I could even see them. One of those little boys was like 3 miles away before they finally caught up with him. My realization was that for them, there were certain sounds that you don't think about twice. Gunshots being one of them. I mean, I grew up in Montana. Hearing a gunshot was no big deal to me, but in their world, that's what kept them alive. The next piece we're going to play is a really lovely piece by Eric Whitacre. And what that lesson, I guess, tells me is that, I want to honor veterans like we did with that last piece, and they certainly deserved all of that. But I also think sometimes we overlook that the burden is not just with them, but also with their families and others. And so we'd like to dedicate this next piece, which is called Sleep, to the families of all our veterans tonight. So thank you again for your support of our veterans who make this possible. All right, see how many of these thank yous I can remember. First and well, maybe foremost right now, we have one of the most amazing auditorium staffs around. It makes my job so much easier. We did this yesterday. If you look at their whiteboard in the other room, it's just every day's got stuff in it. So can we please have a big round of applause for all the auditorium staff guys and gals? Also, big round of applause for the kid. In fact, let's have them stand up. If you're one of the middle school teachers that have kids here today, let's stand up. Come on, up you go. All right, a couple over there. There we go. Yeah. Lots of hard work. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, I also want to thank the parents. I know this is not easy to having a musician in the family. You've got to haul them around, you've got to keep horns up. So let's give your parents a big round of applause for all their support. And certainly not last, if you notice tonight, all the middle schoolers are in red t-shirts. Those t-shirts were given to us, you, as from the president of the college, trying to let you know that he values what you guys are doing and to encourage you. And because of that, it's time for your local commercial. We'll take a short commercial break. I'd like to invite my boss, the division chair, who okays us doing all this stuff, to just make a few words. This is Joe Jacoby.
Well, this time you didn't have to get fired, so we're really, really pleased. It is really an honor to get to lead this division of the Fine Arts and Communications Division. Look at the wonderful faculty we have. When you get to work at North Idaho College, you really are working with the best people. I wanted to make sure and recognize again, we are so grateful and really honored to have Terry back directing the Wind Symphony, directing the Jazz Ensemble. Thanks so much, Terry. The next piece that they're going to be playing is Transcendent Journey. And one of the things that, as the sponsor, we wanted to take a moment to do is, you're all in middle school, you're not really looking at the major life decisions yet, but in a few years you're going to be thinking about it. And first off, I want to say thank you all for sharing your time and talent. You sounded wonderful. What a great gift. Thank you. And we at North Idaho College would be honored and pleased if you consider having us help you in your journey as you start working with those major life decisions. That's what we're here for. We love to work with students, and it would be an honor if you decide to spend some time with us, so when the time comes. Thank you again for being here tonight, and I'm going to hand this back to Terry.
The boss. And notice, just the division uniform has to include some tie-dye. There we go. All right, we're going to play this next piece. After the next piece, we have a little bit of transition to play our final piece, which is the National March for the Country. The 8th graders are going to help the college band out with that piece. So, but before we get to that, again, thank you for being here. This is a piece entitled Transcendent Journey. Okay, time for a quick little line change. So we're going to play this next piece again. This is our national march. This is the gathering of the bands. I was told, was it 91 or 92? 92. This particular event started with the band director at Lakeland, Dennis Keverly, and who's now, we've lost him, and the Canfield director, Peggy Mahoney. We decided, you know what, it would be really cool if kids could meet each other and learn two things. One, they're not alone. You know, sometimes being band geeks is a hard road to hoe in some places, but there are a whole bunch of us. And two, we also wanted to get kids together so that they could meet people from other schools without having to compete against them. And I think it's, 21 years later, it's been a pretty successful venture on our parts. So we're going to finish with this march. Percussionists, those of you, the middle school percussionists who were supposed to be on stage, let's head there now. And I would also ask, for those of you, if you would just stay seated for a little while after the concert. For example, we have kids here from Sandpoint. We'd like to get them to their homeroom, packed up and on their way. So if you just give them a little bit of time to get their stuff, they'll probably be heading out this door and let them get on the road. That would be great. I hear the Post Falls kids are going, yeah, we don't have to go to school tomorrow, so we can do, we don't have to get home in a hurry. Exactly. So, middle schoolers, remember, we've got 4 measures, and then we come in, ba, ba, da, da, da. And if, I think you'd rather play than sing. So if we don't pay attention to the tempo, we're going to have to stop playing and sing it. And you don't want to hear me sing it. You've heard enough of that, okay? How are we doing back there at percussion? I'm seeing a lot of red shirts. They're going to carry this. All right, here we go. It's one way to shut me up, just take me off the line. Did you talk about James? James Schmell, did you say something about him earlier? Well, I will again. James Wave, back there in the black sweater, he's been dealing with the percussionists all day and yesterday. All right, here we go.